We're up to h'tשכז, okay? h'tשכז.
Yep.
All right. So here we're learning. Now we're going to start a whole new piece in the Maimer, which explains the next pasuk. Up to here, we were explaining the pasuk of Shabchi Yerushalayim es Hashem, Hallelujah L'kayich Tzion, and then we also said Asom Gevulach Sholem, why we need the locks, the bars to close the doors, because by Tzion, even though it's a higher madrega. Now we're going to start with the next pasuk, and he's going to explain the next pasuk, and then he's going to ask, how is the next pasuk connect with what we learned before? But for now, let's just concentrate on the next pasuk, how he's going to explain it. He explained the next pasuk. It says like this: Hanoisein sheleg katzomer. Basically, he gives the snow like wool. What is snow? What is wool? We're going to explain according to Kabbalah and in Avodas HaAdam, what is the idea of sheleg, which is snow? What's the idea katzomer, which is wool? And then the pasuk says, Hanoisein sheleg katzomer, that the sheleg will be like the tzomer. He's explaining that there is a maila in the level of sheleg, and there is a maila in the level of tzemer. They're both white. Sheleg is white and tzemer is white. There is a maila in sheleg. There's a maila in tzemer, maila in wool. He's going to explain in the Kabbalah that where the level of sheleg is going to be the level of rachamim, compassion. The level of tzemer is going to be the level of chesed, as we're going to explain. The level of sheleg is considered like the levushim is like sheleg, and that's considered the Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim, as he's going to say. And the level of tzemer is Sa'areshe. Okay, he's going to explain first according to the Kabbalah, what is sheleg and what is tzemer, and then what it means, Hanoisin sheleg katzomer. Behine, inside. After he explains in the Maimer that Shabchi Yerushalayim Goimer. So first he explains the pasuk Shabchi Yerushalayim, and then he explained the pasuk Kichizak Beriche Shoraya Goimer. Mevaer b'hamaimer haposik. In the Maimer he explains the pasuk Hasom Gevulach Sholem. That we learned that already. And its connection to strengthening the bars of the gates, which we learned earlier. Also, the making sure that the chitzonim don't get in. So after he does that, he explains the verse Hanoisen sheleg katzomer. Noisen sheleg katzomer goimer, the one who gives the snow like the wool. What is the meaning of Noisen sheleg katzomer? So the Maimer explains like this. What is sheleg? The sheleg hu b'chinas levushe kitlag chiver. That's the pasuk which it's written in Daniel, but it says over there, his garment is like white snow. Tlag is sheleg, chiver white. So we're saying that the garment that he saw in his vision his garment, levushe, was like white snow. So here we see that snow, white snow, is associated with the level of levushim. That's the level of sheleg. What's the level of tzemer? With tzemer, in the prophecy, it says, Hu bechinas is the level, it says that sa'ar reisha, that the hair of his head. So the garment was white, but the hair of the head, the sar, reisha, was ka'amar nikei, like clean wool. So here you see that the hair of the head is considered like wool, and the garment is considered like snow. Garment like snow, and the hair like wool. We will see, we're saying now the garment, but this is also like the chilik between the hair of the head, which is the wool, and the beard, Yud Kimul Tikune Dikna, that's considered like the levushim, like it like chiva. But first of all, to show in another pasuk the difference between snow and the difference between wool, that snow and wool, because we see in the pasuk v'zehu, this is also mashakosuv, what it says in the pasuk. The pasuk says like this. It says two things here. It says im yiyu chatoechem kashonim, if your sins will be like shonim. Shonim is a white thread that has been painted red. So if your sin will be like shonim, like this strand of red, a white, so the pasuk says, kasheleg yalbinu, they will be whitened like snow. Hashem will whiten those sins that are like red, that colored red, which means in essence they're white, but they have been painted red, they've been colored red. They will become like sheleg, they will become like white like snow. Kasheleg yalbinu, they'll be white like snow. But then it says further, but im yadimu katoila, but if they're going to be so red like the toila, that's red in essence, not painted red, but it's red by essence. So then, katzemer yihu, then they'll be like wool. So if it is just painted red, then they will be like snow. If they're going to be red in essence, then they're going to be like wool. So we see both wool and snow both working to take away these sins, but one of them becomes like red, becomes like snow, and the other one becomes like wool. So the Rebbe explains, shoni, the what is a shoni? Kashonim, im yu chatechem kashonim. What is shoni? Shoni hu chut lava. Shoni is a white strand. Elo shenitzba b'tzeva ode. It's white, but it's been colored red. What does this mean, white colored red in the idea? That means hainu sha'apegam hurak behalevushim, that the blemish, that the person blemished is only in the garment. It's only like painted. In other words, the essence is okay, is white, but the coloring, the outside becomes red. That means that represents when the blemish is only in the garments. If the blemish is only in the garments, then it's going to be like snow. V'atikun depegam zeh. How do you fix such a blemish which is just on the outside? Who al yidei bechinas, that comes through the level of levushe kitlag chiver. That's the snow, his garment. We're talking about the garment of the Hashem, what he saw in his vision was like white snow. So we're saying kashele yalbinu, that it comes from the white snow, the level of sheleg, the level in which his garment is like white snow, is the level that fixes those blemishes that are just superficial on the outside on the garment, but not on your essence. What is toileya? Im yadimu kat toila. What is toila? Hu odoim be'etzem. That's a red. It's a red worm. It's a color red by essence. It's not white colored red, but it is red in itself. The toileya hu odom be'etzem. What does that represent? Hainu shahpagam higia be'etzem hanefesh. That means that the blemish reaches and touches the essence of the soul, not only in the garment, but your essence of the soul was blemished. How do we fix how do we fix such a blemish which touches the essence of the soul? That we need a higher level. You go through the level of tzemer, the level of wool. What is the level of wool? That is sar reisha k'amar nikei. Like we're saying, he saw that his hair of his head was like clean wool. That hair of the head, which is like wool, that's the tzemer that cleanses, that fixes the pegam of the etzem hanefesh. The sar reisha heim hamshochas me'etzem hanefesh. He says the hair of the head are really bringing down from the essence of the soul. He's saying when it says here, katsemer yiu, from the level of sar reisha k'amar nikei, that means that it brings down the person's corrections to his blemishes, comes from the essence of his soul. The hair of the head is from the essence of the soul, and that's why it can correct the essence of the soul. So he says in the Maimer over there, like you see, Adam b'sayrus roishoy nimshach kol haguf. He says, you see, he's going to explain a little bit more later on, that when you pull a person by the hair of his head, the whole body goes along. Basically, this is idea that the hair of the head is the essence of the person, because the whole person gets pulled when you pull the hairs of the head. Okay, well, we're going to explain that. So we know that to fix the garment sins over there, you have to come to the level of levushi kitlag chiver, these garments as like white snow. To fix the blemishes in the essence of the nefesh, you need to go to the level of sar reisha, to the hair of the head like wool. So what does it mean be'inyan? So what does it mean in the pasuk? It says hanoisein sheleg katzomer. He says he makes the snow like the wool, which means who shagam b'sheleg, that also in the level of sheleg, snow, shehu levush, which is the level of a garment. It's not the essence It's only levushe kitlag chiver. It's only a level of a garment. Yumshach bechinas semer etzem. You want to be mamshich there. Hanoisen shelek hatzomer. It should also be the etzem. In the level of levushim should be the hamshich, the bechinas semer, the etzem. The Rebbe will explain. The Rebbe is going to go on the next ois to explain the entire idea of making the snow, making the levush, that also that should be etzem, that should be the tzemer etzem, that the etzem should be noisein sheleg, that the sheleg should be just like the tzemer. How can we connect the two? How do we connect the tzemer and the sheleg? V'hachibur the tzemer v'sheleg. How do we connect the wool with the snow? By drawing down from a place which is higher than both. It is higher than sheleg, which is the levushim. It's higher than tzemer, which is the etzem, in a place which is higher from them. And if we bring that down, you can bring the level of tzemer into the level of sheleg. Okay, that's what it says over there in the minor. It's not without explanation more. The Rebbe will explain it. But that's what it says. It says there is sheleg, which is the level of garment, which fixes the levushim blemishes. We have the level of tzemer, which is fixes the blemishes of the etzem hanefesh. And noisin sheleg hatzomer means to make the sheleg like the tzomer. That's what the pasuk says. Chatoichem kashonim kasheleg yabinu im yadimu katoilo katzemer yu. That's what it says over there. Now the Rebbe's explanation is also going to explain some of the order of the Frierdiker Rebbe of the Maimer, because he says ula'achrei shemevayer b'hamaimer inyan hanoisin sheleg hatzomer. After the Maimer explains the idea that we just talking about, that he makes the sheleg like the tzemer, mevayer oid pam, he explains once again, a little change. Again, he goes back to the idea which he said earlier, inyan shoiftim v'shoitrim titin lecho b'chol shorecha. The idea of putting down the judges and the enforcers, the shoitrim, in all gates. We learned earlier about the gates of the Nun Shari Bina and how to make sure that all the midos are proper. And do that way, he strengthens the bars of the gates, as we learned before, similar. So he goes back to the explanation. So the Rebbe says, so what's the connection, the hanoisin sheleg hatzomer, to this explanation that we're just learning now? Noisin sheleg hatzomer likichizak briche shorayich, to the idea that he strengthens the bars of Zeh. So what's the connection of this explanation, that making the sheleg like tzemer, to the explanation of the shoitim v'shoitim, that this strengthens the bars? What's the hemshech and the maimer there? He's just trying to figure out, how does this explanation affect what he was saying over there before? Okay, that's going to add to it. But before, the Rebbe is going to explain the two levels of sheleg and tzemer. And it seems like, and the Rebbe is going to explain that each one of them has an advantage. Sheleg, the way it influences, the way it fixes, it actually comes down into the person. When a person has his garments, when he's made mistakes and it needs to be fixed, the level of sheleg, as we're going to learn, that comes down inside. It engages the person. It fixes the person in an inner way. The way tzemer fixes the issues is more in an external way. It's like from above. It doesn't affect it. And the Rebbe is going to explain how they both work, that the Shelag and Semer. Okay, let's look inside, we'll see. So we have to, we'll understand by introducing the Shelag v'Tsemer of the snow and the wool. Yesh Yisrael b'kol echad, there is an advantage to each one of them. Now he's going to explain the level in the Kabbalah. The levushe kitlag chiver, when we say his garment is like white snow, which is sheleg, hud yid gimul tikunei dikno. Those are 13 strands of the beard. That's the level of the levushim that we say. The level of levushim is the 13 strands of the beard. If you want, we understand this is the 13 strands of the beard versus the hair of the head. The Yud Kimul Tikkun Tikna. Sheshorsham. Where do they root in the Kabbalah? Hu b'moicha stimo da'arich. That's in the level of moyach. That's the level of the moichin. Stimo, it's called stimo, it's hidden. Because when we talk about arich, it's not a revealed moyach. It's not a brain like we say in Atzilus, like we will say moichin over there. It's moichos stimo, the hidden moichin. The hairs of the beard are rooted in the level of the moyach of arich. Arich, of course, is chitzonius hakeser. You have atik and arich, but this is arich, the chitzonius hakeser. The beard comes from the level of moichin of moichas timo of arich, sheboi melubash gevura da'atik. In the moichas timo of arich, over there you have dressed the level of gevura of atik. Atik is pnimius hakeser. Pnimius hakeser, the atik, the level of gevura of atik is dressed up in the beard, in Yud Gimel Tikunei Dikna, in the Moichas Timo, where the 13 strands come from. So let's compare this to the level of Sar Reisha, the hair of the head. This is the beard. So the beard is eventually comes from where? Comes from the moyach, which has the level of gevura of atik. But the hair has the chesed of atik. V'sar reisha ka'amar nikei. But when we say the hair of the head is like clean wool, which is semer, hein begalgalto the arich. That's the skull of arich. Remember that the moyach, the brain, is inside the skull. The skull is a higher level. It surrounds the moichin. The moichin is in the skull. So the level of Amar Nikei is in the skull of Arich. So in Chitzonis HaKeser, it's a higher level than the Moichos Timo, which is the level of brains, which has the level of Gevur of Atik. But the level of Sareisha, that's the level Tzemer, that's the level of the skull of Arich. Sheboy Melubesh Chesed de Atik. In the skull, you have Chesed of Atik. In the level of the Moiches Timo, you have Gevur of Atik. In the skull, you have Chesed of Atik. Since Yud Kimul Tikune Dikna are connected to the Moichin, so that means they have the level of Gevur of Atik. Since the Sar Reisha is connected to the skull, it has Chesed Atik. The level of Chesed Atik, the Chesed of Pnimis HaKeser of Atik, is a higher level than the Gevura of Atik. Why do we need to have Gevura in the level of what do we need gevura in the level of arich and the yud kimul tikkun dikna. Umevur b'siddur. So in the siddur it's explained the inyan hagevuris shebiyud kimul tikkun dikna. What is the idea of the level of gevuris that are in the 13 strands of the beard? That's in the yud gimel midos harachamim. Why do we, I mean, there seem to be 13 attributes of mercy. Why is there gevura over there? Why do we have from gevura of Atik in the level of Moichas Timoah? Why do we have that? Why do we need gevura? So explain to Kihem Boim Lahamtik Hadinim. Because they come, the Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna are coming to sweeten the judgments. The Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim, they have compassion. What do we mean? As they will explain, what does it mean when you have compassion? When you have compassion means you feel bad for someone. So somebody is not in a good situation and you feel bad for them. So you're touched by the person's situation. You have rachmanis, you give him. So in order to be able to have rachmanis, in order to be able to be mamshich to them, you need to have the source of gevuros, which is the negative. You're having rachmanis because there's negativity there. You need to have from that gevura lahamtik adinim. Ve'ein hamdinim nimtokim ela b'shorshim. He says, when you have judgment and you have gevuras, the only way to sweeten them is by going to the root. So the fact that we're tapping into gevuras, we can fix the gevuras and we can have rachmanis on the person or on the idea of gevuras. So you need the gevuras in order, that's what the Siddur explains, you need the gevuras in order to fix the gevuras. You need to tap into the root of gevuras, because of course, the level of gevuras, the way it's in its source, is not the real gevuras, the way it comes out below. So when you tap into the source of gevuras, you sweeten the gevuras the way they come out. So basically, the 13 strands, they come to sweeten the gevuras, so they need to have gevuras in themselves. But that is only by the Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna, by the beard, by the snow, the shelling. But Usaris Haroish, when we talk about the hair of the head, She'ein Boyim Lahamtik Dinim, they don't come to sweeten judgments. They are not sweetening judgments. They're just mamshich chesed, not sweetening judgment. They don't go down. She'ein boyim lahamtik dinim. They're not coming here to sweeten the judgment. Shareihem lemailo miyud gimel midas harachamim, because they're higher than the 13 attributes of mercy. Rachamim, the 13 attributes of mercy means rachmanis. So therefore, heim bechinas chesed, they're chesed. Rachamim means when the person you're sweetening, when you feel bad, you have compassion, you're sweetening some negativity. Chesed is just a giving without not being touched by the lower level. So therefore, the level of the hair, tzemer, is the level of chesed. That's why it's the skull, which has chesed, the atik in it, and the level of Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna, the beard, which is in Moichas Timoah, has the level of gevuras in it because it's coming to sweeten judgment. So it needs to have gevuras, because in order to sweeten the judgment, we need the root. Ein nimtokis ela b'shorshim. Move on. So what do we understand from this? Sham tokas hadinim shal yidei Hayud Gimel Tikunei Dikna, that the sweetness, the sweetening of the judgment that comes through the 13 strands of the beard. Kivon Shehem Boyim Lahamtik Esadinim. Since the purpose, why do we have the 13 Rachmanis? They are there to sweeten judgments. So when there's, God forbid, judgment about a person, we have the 13 Midas HaRachamim. When you daven to Hashem and you say the 13 Midas HaRachamim, you sweeten, you take away judgment. Lochein, and therefore, Ha'amtoka shayeches la'amata. This sweetening means that it's connected to the below, which means that the low touches them, and we are concerned about what's going on. It is connected to the people, for those who have judgments of them. So when we sweeten and we fix the pegomim, that means that's through engaging, feeling for them, and it's shayches to the matter. But on the other hand, but the sweetening that takes place through the hairs of the head, it also it's metakin the pegomim. How does that metakin the etzem? How does the come from the galgalto, from the level of amar nikei tzemer saresha, shehem lemailo inyan hamtokas adinim, which is higher than sweetening judgment. They come from the level of chesed, from the galgalto. Umitzad hachasodim shobehem. That's because of their kindness. Gilui milmailo. It's just a revelation from above. So again, to put it in, this is the mata. The Yud Gimel Tikunei Dikna are connected to the mata. The mata touches them. So it comes from the mata. It's associated to the mata. Chesed is higher. It comes milmailo. V'zeu, and this is the difference. That Yud Gimel Tikunei Dikna Heim Rachamim. The 13 strands of the beard, they're compassion. We call them Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim, those 13 attributes of mercy. But Visar Reisha, but when we talk about the hair of the head, Heim Chesed, because this is the difference between Rachamim and Chesed. Rachamim, compassion, you're impacted by the one that you feel bad for. That's shaykhis to the lamata. Chesed, you just give milmailo, that you're not impacted. So the rachamim heim b'derech klal. Normally, compassion generally is mizeh shemargish es sareh shel hazulos, that you feel the pain of the other person, so you have rachamim. V'chesed, but kindness, you're just kind. It's not because you're impacted. And this is the chilek of the Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim, which are Rachamim connected. And as we said before, the Yud Gimel Tikunei Dikna are rooted in Moiches Timoah, which has Gevuris in it, and the level of the Sar Reisha, the Tzemer, the wool, which is in the level of Galgalta, which has the Chesed of Atik in it, and that's the higher level. Okay, we'll leave it here.
Okay.
Bezos Hashem. It's pretty gishmak, no?
Yes, very nice.
This is difficult in Yonim, but if you go through slowly, you get to get there instead of rushing through, but going a little bit at a time, you chap what the Rebbe is saying over here, obviously.
Yeah, Hashem, yes. Bye.